www.decoratingcenter.com. And a good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. Coming up later on after the 10 o'clock news, we'll talk to Nicole Liggins. She is with Guided Grace Family Youth Services. We'll find out what that's all about. At 11 o'clock, we'll talk about the Juneteenth celebration in Bay City with Pastor Marcel Smith. But for this hour, we're going to spend a little time right in downtown Saginaw at that magnificent building known as the Castle Museum. In a very special way that you can get involved with the Castle Museum. And to tell us about this morning, we have a couple of guests with us. First of all, the man who's the head honcho. He runs it all, and he is John Webb. John, good morning.
Good morning, Art.
And with him this morning from the museum is Sandy Schwan. Sandy, good morning.
Good morning, Art.
And you got a big, long title. What is it?
Community and Collections Engagement Curator.
That's right. First of all, most recently downtown was Jazz on Jefferson. How did we do?
It was a smashing success. The weather was very cooperative, and as we were laughing before, you promised us good weather this year, and so we really appreciate that, Art.
Yeah. I'll take credit when I can.
Right. We had a great turnout. The food vendors all had a thriving business the entire night. The music was fantastic. Large crowd, sold out of our strawberry shortcake.
I knew you were going to say that.
And so it was just an all-around great evening.
And it's good to get folks downtown walking around,
it absolutely
enjoying
is.
themselves.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating area with a lot of history. And, just for people to come down there and mingle with each other, and a lot of different families down there, and maybe people that don't get to see each other or have conversations as often, all in that one single place, enjoying the beauty of that neighborhood.
And do you have the museum open that night?
We do, yes. We always stay open, and, we estimated, somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple thousand people on the grounds and going through the museum in that one single evening. So pretty special.
Yeah, that is. Sandy, you do a lot of the curation and things of that nature. Is the museum full right now?
It's pretty full, but we always are taking more things in because there's so many more stories that we want to be able to tell and to share. And the way that we do that is through the artifacts that people donate to us. So we have over 150,000 objects and counting. We have a great crew of collection staff and volunteers that help to preserve those artifacts and make them available for research purposes as well as for exhibits.
You said a magic word that I hadn't thought of before. Volunteers at the museum?
Absolutely. We can't survive without them.
Tell us what they do.
They do a lot of different things. We have a great, like I said, collections crew that helps to catalog and preserve our artifacts that have come in. We actually have an archaeologist on staff, and so he actually goes out into the field and does excavations around Saginaw County and works in the lab. We have tour guides that go and do. We got a wonderful school program, and then they come usually, especially at the end of the year, and want tours. So we do a lot of programming that way. So lots of different opportunities for people to get involved and volunteer with the museum.
All right. So now you're asking the public to get involved.
Yes.
In kind of a different way. Tell us what this program is all about.
So it's called Chronicling Our Past, and what it is we are reaching out to the public, and we are saying we know that there is a lot of stories that we don't have access to because we only have what people actually donate to us. And we started thinking several years ago. This project actually came into existence when we were getting ready to do a Smithsonian exhibit, and we always pair a traveling exhibit with a local component, and it was on Latinx experience in baseball. And we started looking through our collection going, we really don't have anything. So we put a plea out into the public, and we got these amazing stories and amazing images of Luna Field and the baseball teams and the championship things. And it was incredible. And so John and I actually started talking, and I said, I've got an idea. because I love our photographic collection. I feel it's the one way we can really see what life was like in the past without having a time machine. We do have a time machine, but it unfortunately doesn't travel to the
You
past.
do?
That's what our history on our mobile classroom is called, the time machine. Unfortunately, it doesn't go back far enough into the past, but photographs do, and it's a way for people to really see what life was like in the past. And fortunately, we live in a time that we have the technology that we can scan pictures in, and we can save them digitally instead of necessarily having to preserve.
Physically hold them, yeah.
Physically hold them, which is great, and they may, because they're digitally accessible, then it makes it easier for us to utilize them and to share them with the public and share those stories. So that's kind of how the project got started.
So you want the public to contribute photos.
Yes, what we'd like to do is we would like them to contact me at the museum, reach out to us, or come once a month. Now we're doing an actual day where I'm going to be scanning pictures, and if I can get yours scanned in there or loan them to us so I can scan them in between. But the fourth Tuesday of the month from 1 to 4 this summer, I am going to be scanning them on site at the Castle Museum. So even if people want to come and just ask more questions about it. But what we're looking for is things that will help tell the story of Saginaw County. There's those little communities that were crossroads, but were thriving little communities at one time. There's also businesses and different and events and things like that that happen. Like I always think of the raft race, and pictures from that. People remember that, but that's now something that's no longer done.
It's interesting because I think I told John and Tom this the last time they were here. You know, if I want to know what happened on a certain date in 1932, I go down to the library, consider their microfiche machines, and look at all the newspapers from back then.
Yep.
My question was and is, who's keeping that history today? Nobody.
Yeah.
Because 50 years from now, if somebody wants to know what happened today, who's going to tell them?
Yeah.
So the more you can gather historically, the better off we are.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. And that's why I always tell people, even with artifacts donated, people are like, hey, it's not 25 years old or whatever. And I said, history happened yesterday. History happened this morning.
It's happening right now.
I see the poster on your wall from the Memorial Cup, and we actually acquired different things from the Memorial Cup. That's 2 years old. But we are actually acquiring, some memorabilia things, some programs and tickets and things like that at that time, because it's like we have access to that right now.
I'd let you photograph my Memorial Cup ring, but I won't let you have the ring.
I can't blame you there.
Exactly.
We're going to take a quick break and be back with our guests, John Webb and Sandy Schwan from the Castle Museum, and we will return.
Want a job that makes a difference?
Hi, we're back with you in studio with me, John Webb, who heads up the Castle Museum, and Sandy Schwan, who has that long title that John, you gave her, right?
Yeah.
How did we create this title? Tell us again what it is.
Community and Collections Engagement Curator.
Yep. So it's quite a mouthful, but April 1st, 2025 was a day that Sandy and I, neither one will ever forget.
No.
I got a phone call about 8:30 in the morning, maybe 9 o'clock, from someone, a number I didn't know, and I answered it, and they said, do you know someone named Sandy Schwan? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, she's been involved in a serious automobile accident. I'm at the scene right now. It is really bad. And Sandy had been involved in a head-on collision on her way to work.
Ooh.
And so...
Where was this?
Tittabawassee and Midland Road.
Okay.
Yep, coming from Freeland. So, our first concern was obviously it was her condition and all that. Thankfully,
Yep.
Sandy was okay. I mean, no, I wouldn't say okay. Sandy was not in danger.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but she was seriously injured in this automobile accident, and so, it's one of those situations where we were given lemons and we found a way to make lemonade out of it. And thanks to the rest of the collections department, in particular Jeff Cottrell, stepping up and not only handling all of their duties that they were already doing, but stepping in for Sandy, because she spent weeks in the hospital and then months in rehabilitation facilities,
Wow.
getting back on her feet, literally to get back on her feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so while we were doing this, Sandy was doing whatever she could for us, via phone and computer and things like that, helping, because she definitely missed being part of the family and the team at the Castle Museum. And we started thinking, man, with the way we've kind of restructured, and she and I had already been talking about this whole concept of finding someone who could go out into the community and especially with the photographs and things like that, to do that. And Sandy's, as you know, Art, she likes to talk to people, right? She's really good at that. And she's already been managing a lot of the volunteers that we had. A large percentage of the volunteers were working in the collections department. So we thought, Sandy's a public person. So let's think about how we can use her skills to the greatest benefit of the museum. And that's why we came up with this concept of her going out into the community, setting up these dates with organizations or individuals where people can then come and share their family photographs and the stories that go along with them. And one of the wonderful things about it is that, so we scan those, we return them, because some people are like, well, I have these wonderful photographs, but I don't want to give them up. And we get that, right? Mm-hmm. And then some people, they want to keep them for a while, and then, okay, when I'm gone, you can have them permanently, the original photos. Okay, that's fine too. But the point being, you can take those photographs back home with you and keep them for your family. But we then also get the digital versions of those images, the stories that go along with them. We provide copies of those digital images to those families so that they can use them and share them with their family members. So it's really a win-win for everybody. And it's, again, a way that we can continue to document those stories. So Sandy has embraced this new role, mm-hmm. and I think the challenge going down the road, honestly, is she's not going to have enough time to scan all the photographs that people bring to her. I mean, that's the challenge we're going to face, and I hope that is the case at some point.
So let's talk about these photos again, as to exactly what you're looking for.
We're looking for images that help tell the story of Saginaw County. So if your family went and had a picnic at Hoyt Park, and you in 1976 for the bicentennial, we would love we would love some copies of that. If you were at a parade at the Pride Christmas Parade, we would love to see different images from those things. If there's graduation pictures from school, where you're seeing you graduated from St. Stephen's, some of those schools don't even exist anymore in their original format. So we're looking for those things that help tell the story of Saginaw County. And one of the things that and also one of the things, not only do we want to fill in the gaps as far as those types of stories, but we also wanted to fill in the gaps with different townships as well, because we don't necessarily have a lot from some of the smaller townships or from some of the outlying townships. So, like out by Merrill and over by Hemlock, and we've done some stuff down in Tamath and Birch Run. And it's been wonderful, and we're doing stuff down in Oakley and trying to tell some more of those kinds of stories. So if you have church pictures, and that's the other thing, it's not just even from individuals. If you're part of organizations, we've been working like with Union Civica to scan some of their things as well. We're looking for those kinds of stories as well, because we want to be able to preserve those records. And that's another part of this job, and part of my role is to, when people bring some of these things in, I can also make recommendations on, okay, here's a good way to preserve these. These are your family stories and things like that. These types of materials are maybe more acidic and can potentially damage some of your stuff. Here's some resources that you can use. Unfortunately, we live in a time, because of scrapbooking, that a lot of that stuff is easily available from local stores. People just need to know what to look for to be able to preserve their things. So that's another aspect of it, is not only do we want to be able to tell those stories, provide a way for people to share their stories with their family, but also to preserve the originals that they do have.
You mentioned earlier you're doing this the fourth Tuesday of the month from 1 to 4. Is that right?
Correct.
If somebody comes into the museum during those hours, can they wait while you scan their photo?
Absolutely, they can tour the museum. They can also leave it. It also depends on how much they bring. Some people, the 3 weeks ago now, we did our first one. I had a gentleman that came. He wasn't sure, so he just brought a sampling of photographs. So we did probably about 24 scans, and I was able to do them while he waited and toured the museum. Another lady brought me a whole bag with scrapbooking, or a scrapbook full of wonderful images and stories and things like that. That's taken more time for us to do those kinds of things. So those are things that we will say, hey, will you leave them with us? We give you a receipt, and we keep them stored safely, and then we will make arrangements to get them back.
Okay, so let's move to the other end of the spectrum then.
Sure.
They bring you the photographs, you scan all the photographs. What do you then do with the images you have?
They become what we refer to as a digital archives. So they go into our database system so that whenever we have a researcher come in and say, hey, we're looking for something, say, on Riverside Park. Okay, we type in Riverside Park, and any image that we have with that key information would come up on that. Or like we have Changing Tastes as our new exhibit that we have going on right now. If somebody brings in pictures of their celebrations at Howard Johnson's and we type in Howard Johnson, we can pull up all those images. So they're always available for researchers as well as for exhibits. So we can actually pull some of that stuff for exhibitions. And just, again, to have that historical record and be able to share that information as needed.
Because it's going to end up being a large database.
Yes.
Is it available online to the public?
Not yet, but that is one of the things that we are looking at going forward. Because these pictures are still going to be copyrighted to the people, we're going to look at trying to develop a way that people can access that from our database system. We have a way of doing that. We just have to make sure that their copyrights are preserved.
So when you use them in exhibits, will the exhibits pertain to a particular place, region, time frame?
Yes, all of the above. It'll just depend on what the subject matter is for the exhibit. Depends on what we're looking for. Like right now, we got.
Can I give an example of her job in action recently? So Schaefer and Beerline, everybody knows Schaefer and Beerline, right? In our area. But what a lot of people don't realize is that is literally one of the oldest continuously operating family-owned automobile dealerships in the entire United States. All right here in Saginaw County. They had a lot of photographs that were documenting their past, and so we wanted to do a small exhibit about that. And I went to them, and they said, "Yeah, we've got a scrapbook, and we've got all these different things," and So they let us borrow it to scan. So I brought it back, and this is exactly what the situation Sandy's talking about. So it was carefully done in maybe 1990. They put this together, but it was photographs taped into a photo album. All these things that make Sandy shudder because that's not the way we right. That's not the way we take care of things. But so we said to them, hey, how about this? Let us have this. We'll carefully deconstruct this and pull these individual photos out. So then not only can we scan them and use them in the exhibit, telling their story, their family story, the story of the business, but also then we will return them to you in
new form.
That you can then store these safely for the long term and still have these photographs for your future generations to enjoy as well. Yeah. So I mean, it was the perfect culmination of all the things that we were working on with Sandy was that exhibit, and now that's part of an exhibit that everyone in the county can share.
Yeah.
Well, let me take a quick break. We'll come back as we talk more about the Castle Museum.
Ready to update your home and
we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, Sandy Schwan. And she is a big, long title at the Castle Museum. John Webb, who gave her that big, long title at the Castle Museum. But she does communicate about the collection and curation and all that good stuff. So, put this aside for a moment, the photos. How's the museum doing?
Museum is doing really well. we are seeing fantastic numbers as far as people coming through, participating in programs. Our educational programs that go out to the schools are doing incredibly well. Christy Furtaw, who is our education coordinator, was just named by Delta College's School of, or their humanities department, the humanities instructor of the year. So we're very proud to have her as part of our group, and she's worked super hard and is very deserving of that. And that's one of the things that we do as far as providing service to our county is we have these we have this mobile classroom and this programming that goes out to almost all the schools within the county, almost all the school districts, private and public, and provide free programming that's curriculum specific for the age group. That's just, again, one of the ways that we are sharing the history of this county. And as you well know, we're gearing up for our big millage renewal vote in August. And so we're hoping that people see the value of all these things that we're doing, like Sandy's programs, going out and making sure we're collecting these stories from all parts of the county, and Christy going to all the different school districts in the county, and the programs at the Castle Museum, and all these things.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's not an increase, just a renewal?
Correct. It is a renewal of the current, at the current rate that we've been for
a long time.
More than 25 years. And so we're just finding ways to do more with that same amount. And I think we've done an admirable job of that. And this, so people understand, it's a renewal. Again, we're not asking for an increase. It's the smallest millage that's a countywide millage of any of them. It's 0.1997 mils. So to put that into numbers that are a little easier to understand, the median homeowner in Saginaw County pays $1.22 a month. $1.22 a month. And that provides the revenue for our museum here, the care of the Castle Museum itself, which is on the National Register of Historic Places, plus 4 smaller museums in the county at Bridgeport, Chesaning, Frankenmuth, and St. Charles. All of those are almost 100% funded by this millage. So we would lose a lot if this millage does not pass.
Do they have their own operational boards and things?
They do, yes. Each one has its own facility, staff. Depending on which one it is, they might be primarily volunteer and that kind of thing. But they all have a board of directors as required. They all provide financials on a quarterly basis that we then submit to the county so they can see what kind of revenues and expenses that they are having, and we do that as well. So there's definitely oversight there. And it's there's a lot going on among all these different historical organizations, plus, of course, the Saginaw County Sports Hall of Fame, which is hosted within the Castle Museum, would also lose its home if we were to not pass this in August. So we're hoping that people will vote yes on this.
And the other part of this, and if I remember back to 25 years ago, John, but one of the things that brought it about was the fact that the building needed attention.
Sure.
And it's had
it always does.
It always does.
Yeah.
It's not a new building.
And it needs more. Right. Yeah. I mean, the building is, was finished in 1898, right? So we're dealing with a structure that pretty old.
Been around a while.
Yeah. So, we're constant. And then it was significantly changed in the mid-1930s when they added on a large portion and tore down some of the original. It's still recognizable if you see the pictures from 1898. It still looks very much the same, especially from the front. But if you look at it from the side and the back, it's changed significantly. Well, as you know, anytime you do construction where you're doing things at different time periods, you're always facing the danger of water because things settle and cracks form, and you've got water coming in through the ground. You've got water coming in through the roof. Again, this is a beautiful, incredible building, slate roof. Limestone construction on the exterior, marble and oak in the interior with these fantastic light fixtures, that are Art Deco. I mean, it's really a marvel, and I hope those who have never been there take advantage and come and check it out, because it is free to all Saginaw County residents to come to this museum. That millage that I spoke of supports our museum, and that's paid by the residents of this county. So we feel that this is their museum, and we want to share this museum with them. It's their museum. So please come down and look at this magnificent building. It's really a one-of-a-kind structure anywhere in the United States. Only kind of building like this.
Still have any tours of the security ramps on the main.
Well, part of the what you can visit when you're at the museum is the observation deck, we call it, which was the postal inspector's way of ensuring that those who were handling the mail weren't taking anything out of the mail for themselves.
Right.
So,
All right, we're going to take a break and come back with more. Yeah, right after these notes. Let me remind you that one of the things about living in Saginaw and the region and the state of Michigan are potholes. Don't we just love those potholes? And if you hit enough of them, they're going to interrupt the alignment of your vehicle, possibly make it unsafe to drive. You really want to have that checked out. And our friends at Quick Lane Freeland are offering a complimentary alignment check. That's right, complimentary. Stop in, just say you'd like your alignment checked, and they will do that for you. Hopefully they find nothing wrong and send you on your way. If they find anything wrong, they will tell you what it is and what the fix is. If you want to know how important alignment is, I've asked John from Quick Lane Freeland to give us a few thoughts on it.
If your vehicle's wheels are aligned correctly, it will not pull to the left or to the right when driving. It also prevents improper tread wear, so your tires last longer. A wheel alignment should be checked often because normal steering wear and tear can cause your alignment to go out, in addition to potholes and railroad crossings. A correct alignment also reduces rolling resistance on your tires for better fuel mileage.
And, of course, safety. Stop in today, Quick Lane Freeland. Also, if you need tires, remember that they sell all of their new tires at just $5 over cost. Quick Lane Freeland and their complimentary alignment check. Stop in today. Take advantage of it. They're on the McDonald Ford property. McDonald Ford and Quick Lane Freeland both standing ready to help you with all of your automotive needs in 2026.
Gotta go.
And we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show, talking to John Webb and Sandy Schwann from the Castle Museum. Any exhibits coming up in the near future that we need to know about?
yeah, I'm going to let Sandy talk a little bit about one that we are working on right now that deals with a very specific part of our collection, which is textiles.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're going to be doing, it's kind of like a century style kind of thing, but on a smaller scale. They're going to be pulling out some of our beautiful textile collection. We have along with our photographic collection, one of the next best ones that we have is our textile collection. And so our registrar, Megan Leach, along with our exhibits coordinator, Maya Ryan, are working on collaborating on this wonderful new textile exhibit focusing on the women and the dresses and their stories, to combine their stories together. So
I think it's going to be entitled "Every Dress Has a Story."
yeah, okay.
And so coming up with some really cool ideas of a way to display this. So we're building a kind of like a fashion runway in one of the galleries, but instead of having actual live models, of course, they will be on mannequins or dress forms, whatever, but sort of laid out like a fashion show. And then again, with each of these beautiful story dresses relating to an interesting story about the individual or the circumstances under which this dress was created. So.
And you have all these dresses
Yes,
in
we
your
do.
collection?
Yes, we do. We have a very significant textile collection, and we're getting more and learning more stories all the time, which is great.
Where do you get the stories from?
The people who donate them, and sometimes we also, depending on this. The particular item and the person associated with it, whether it's the donor, if it was a dress that was made, we actually can go to the Saginaw News Clipping Files, which we are actually the home for the Saginaw News Clipping Files. A lot of people don't realize that we hold them, along with the Hoyt Library, some parts of that Saginaw News collection as well. But we can go to the Clipping Files and find
But you have the
information there.
clippings. They have the fiche, the microfiche.
They have the microfiche, and they also have some other elements to the collection as well. But so that's a wonderful resource for us. So we're able to go to there and get additional information. But a lot of it comes from the donors. That's always the starting point. It's like when somebody brings us an artifact, it's always called, whether it's a photograph, a dress, whatever it is. It's how does that connect to Saginaw County? Tell me what makes this particular item significant to Saginaw County. So we start with those stories. And
What's, out of curiosity, if you know, what's the oldest artifact you have?
How
Okay.
about that? Both of us like, well,
I'm going to phone a friend. I'm going to phone Jeff. We have
how about that trunk?
I was going to say, well, we actually have archaeological archaeological artifacts that have been excavated, some from the Saginaw Valley. So we're talking a couple thousand years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we help to preserve that. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the work that we've done, our archaeologist Jeff Summer has done out in the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge by permit, which he has to renew annually with them. One of the things is the Castle Museum is actually a federally recognized repository for those collections. So we
And the
are
only one
looking-
in the area.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure people realize it, but this area is historically rich.
Yes.
When you think of coming through the fur trading era, the logging era, the automotive era, the war effort, now we're transitioned into a medical giant. And all of this history has to be preserved.
Yeah.
It does.
Somebody has to be able to preserve it.
And honestly, the best way to ensure that that history is preserved and told the right way is to keep it local.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And so if we lose that, we lose so much.
Which, you know, the museum is how old? The Historical Society, when was it formed? You have an idea?
I was going to say it was formed back in the 1930s. So we're looking, you know, we're coming up on almost 100 years.
How did you end up in the Castle Museum?
We were actually we've actually been in several different locations. So the Historical Society was actually we actually shared what was called the Saginaw Museum, which was located in where the Saginaw Art Museum was. That's where we were originally located. We were both entities were in there, but as
Ring Home. Yeah.
the Ring Home, but as both organizations and their collections began to grow, the Historical Society moved across the river into a historic home down on Jefferson, so a lot of people remember that. But back in 92, a lot of the castle building, it was at that point, it had gone from being a federal building to a county-owned building, and it had a lot of space. And so the county approached the Historical Society and said, hey, would you be interested in putting a museum in there? And so we moved from the historic home into the Castle Museum. We were only in a portion of it. We probably had about 2/3 of the building at that time. And then in 92, as different federal and state offices moved or were closed or relocated to other parts of the state, we approached the county and said, hey, we would like access to the entire building. So since 1992, the Castle Museum has had full occupancy of the entire building.
And has done a wonderful job, and then it was updated to be able to house Smithsonian exhibits by humidity control and all of that.
Yep.
Yep.
A lot goes into these things.
It sure
People
does.
Don't realize.
Well, you know, so we're sitting here listening to Sandy relate the
Right.
history of the, you know, our occupation of this building and the history of the Historical Society. She's not even the historian on the staff,
I know,
right?
yeah, the whole
so
staff is historians.
It is. I
Yeah.
mean, so we've got Tom Trombley, as you know,
Oh, yeah,
recognized
absolutely.
with the highest honor from the Michigan Historical Society. We've got 2 PhD doctorates on the staff, Dr. Jennifer Finette, Dr. Catherine Elson, and then we have people like Sandy.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's always fun to talk about it, and it's even more fun to go to it. So, folks, get down and visit the Castle Museum in downtown Saginaw. We'll do it again before the millage, I'm sure. John, thank you.
Thank you so much
Sandy,
again, as always.
Great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break and come back with the news, and after the news, we'll be back with the next hour of the Art Lewis Show.
You know you want it.